Hello, it's Marni Penner, and today I would like to talk about the strengths that my social anxiety and falling behind in the timeline of life gave me. So often when we have social anxiety, there are a lot of disadvantages. And one of the main disadvantages that causes a lot of pain and shame is falling behind in what I call the societal timeline of life. Right? So with social anxiety, we often have three levels of shame. There's the shame that caused the social anxiety in the first place. Then there's the shame for having social anxiety. And then there's the shame for having fallen behind in the timeline of life. So these are things like not studying, not having a job yet, not progressing in our career, not having enough friends, not having a boyfriend, not having had sex, not having a family, not owning a home, right? Any of these milestones of adulthood that we were supposed to have achieved at a certain time. And so I had social anxiety, really crippling social anxiety between 21 and 26 years old. So this totally put me behind in the timeline of life. I didn't graduate university till I was 27. I lost my virginity at 29, and I didn't figure out what I wanted to do with my life until 35. Okay? So that is really behind. However, social anxiety didn't just put me behind. Falling behind in the societal timeline of life also gave me great strengths that make me who I am today. And so I would like to tell you three of these strengths so that you can see that falling behind in the timeline of life might not be the tragedy that everyone makes it out to be. And then you might be able to then look at your story, own your story, and free yourself from the shame you feel for having fallen behind in the timeline of life. And by freeing ourselves from all those three levels of shame, we can free ourselves from the social anxiety it's been causing and then move up into the positive spiral of happiness, empowerment, and connection. So here are the three strengths that my social anxiety and falling behind in the timeline of life has given me. So I had always strived for perfection in childhood and in my youth. And so I went to pre-med, and then I got into one of the prestigious optometry schools in Canada. There's only two, and so I was really up there when it came to status and prestige, right? But then at 21, in optometry school, I came down with social anxiety and performance anxiety, and I had to drop out. And I couldn't even do the most basic of jobs. My social anxiety was so bad. My heart racing, I could hardly speak to anybody. The only people I could speak to were children. So I went to Europe, and I was a nanny in 5 different countries in Europe. I lived with the family, learned their language, and spoke the language with the children while I was looking after the children. Okay, so quite an interesting timeline of life, right? Not the standard one. I was falling behind in the timeline of life. Well, the first strength that I got from all this was that one day a lawyer mother in Switzerland said to me, she said, "My children will never be nannies when they're 22 years old," right? It was so shaming. And I started really thinking about that. I had been through a lot dropping out of optometry school. And I came to one of the most powerful realizations that many people have much later, or some people never realize. And that was that my job, my status, my prestige, how much money I make, and these societal standards of what you're supposed to achieve are not what makes you a worthy person. I realized that my worth is inside of me, and it's a constant, and it doesn't matter what I'm doing with my time, what kind of status, prestige, job, or any of these other societal standards of worth. That's not what makes people worthy. And so this realization was really powerful, and it's really helped me a lot in my life. So that is one of the strengths that social anxiety gave to me. The second strength was that by living with families and learning about their culture and learning their languages and speaking their languages with them, I got a really good insight into culture, right? I got to assessing my beliefs, assessing their beliefs. I had culture shock. I was really angry at their beliefs, right? And then I would start questioning my beliefs, throwing out my beliefs. And I really believe that it was this cultural experience that has helped me develop my cultural and societal framework for anxiety and depression that I'm using today as a coach. I didn't know it at the time that I was developing this strength, but I did develop this strength, right? I developed it because I was not following the timeline of life. I was not studying. I didn't have a real job, right? But I developed a different kind of strength. The third strength that my social anxiety gave to me is one that is very important to me. I could not talk to anybody except for children from 21 to 26 years old. And so when I finally found my solution to social anxiety in Hungary when I was 26 years old, I became passionate about friendship. I could not yet date or have sex or anything till I was 29. So I had 3 years there where I was really passionate and motivated to make friends and really learn about connection. And so I made friend after friend after friend. I taught English one-on-one. I connected with my students. I just became passionate about connection. And so in the 16 years since I found my solution to social anxiety, I have become really good at making friends, at having really meaningful, deep friendships. I've been good at I've learned a lot of people skills, like how to overcome people pleasing, how to know how to trust people, right? How to be assertive. I've learned so much because I was not able to talk to people for 5 years. And then when I was able to, I invested all my energy and I pushed past anxieties that people don't normally push past and developed unique skills, that are above average social skills, right? So falling behind in the timeline of life gave me a certain motivation and it gave me a certain love of people. And my solution of love and honesty has made me a very loving, honest person. So there really are benefits. These are 3 of the benefits that having social anxiety and falling behind in the societal timeline of life have given me. And my clients and I are also looking at their story, looking at why they fell behind in the societal timeline of life, the shames they had in high school, and then the shame for having social anxiety in adulthood, the shame that it put them behind. And we're looking at both sides of the story. There's not just negatives, there's positives too, right? When we're not achieving one thing, we're gaining experience in something else. And so this is helping my clients own their story, free themselves from all 3 levels of shame, and therefore free themselves from their social anxiety, and then go up into a positive spiral of happiness, empowerment, and connection, and start creating the life that they want to live. Not the societal timeline, no, the life that they want to live. So I hope you found that helpful. If you'd like me to help you free yourself from any of those levels of shame and from your social anxiety and gain the social skills that you would like to gain, then send me a message. I would love to talk. So thank you for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful day.